If you live in the UK, I do not know how you are supposed to survive right now.
Somebody needs to make the price of living actually realistic.
Yep, their plan is working. You will owe nothing and be happy about it.
So as of recording this, we're about halfway through the year of 2025. So I thought it'd be a good idea to look into the cost of living so many people are dealing with. And we're going to go over a lot today. The income needed to feel secure state by state in 2025, rising housing prices along with rent, increased insurance prices, cost of raising children, food prices, I mean, we have it all. Along with comments from you guys from previous videos. So if you want to be featured on a future video, leave it in the comments down below. But let's just start off with some clips that I see all the time now.
So I'm in the process of finding a new place, and it doesn't make any sense how this world expects you to survive. Not only do they want the rent, which is an arm and a leg, but they want 3 months, you know, 3 times the income, and then they want a deposit, and then gas is $6 a gallon, and I'm making 19 bucks an hour, bro. You know, on top of bills, on top of food. Somebody needs to make the price of living actually realistic, man.
If you live in the UK, I do not know how you are supposed to survive right now.
Y'all, life is not making that much sense right now in terms of the cost of everything.
Hey, Howard, how's your mom? This is just your friendly reminder that if you step outside and like take a deep breath, it will probably cost you like $200. Like just to step foot outside, it's a solid $200.
If I really wanted to, we can make entire videos that are hours long, just with example after example like this. And as you heard, at least from one of the clips that I put in, this is not just a US problem, this is happening all over the world. I've seen clips from Canada, any part of the UK, Australia as well, and even parts of the world where many people have migrated because they had work from home jobs. So they ended up moving to a cheaper cost of living country, and within just a few years, all the prices have drastically gone up there too. There's almost no way of escaping it now.
How much money do you need to make to live comfortably in the United States? And this is according to a 2024 Smart Asset Survey. The 5th most expensive state is Washington, needing a $106,000 salary. The 4th is New York, and people say they need at least $112,000. The 3rd is California, which is the state that I live in, and people say they need at least $114,000. Second is Hawaii with another $114,000, and the number 1 spot is Massachusetts, $116,000.
I do also want to add that this is for an individual income. This is not like a family of 3 or 4. So when you see all of these numbers near or over the $100,000 threshold, that's just for one single person. We have a comment from one of you guys. I lived on $300 a month in 1970 when I was 22 years old. I had an apartment and all bills paid for $130 a month. My car was paid for and I worked for a mortgage company in an entry-level position. Never asked my parents for any financial help. I believe this would be impossible today. I feel bad for young people struggling, and I almost can't believe the $300 a month because it's so little, even though it was 55 years ago, because every few months there's some new statistic or some area in the country where the affordability has gotten worse, the income needed to feel safe or secure is even higher. I mean, we have a clip up on screen right here from the news. The Florida affordability salary requirements for a single adult over $97,000 and a family of 4 is $217,000 a year. You're getting pretty close to $20,000 a month. So it's really not surprising when there are way more people thinking about not having kids in the future.
Raising a child in the U.S. is more expensive than ever, about $300,000 over 18 years. According to LendingTree, it breaks down to about $29,000 a year, factoring in childcare, clothing, food, health insurance premiums, and more. The biggest jump in cost, daycare, up 51% since the last report in 2023. Hawaii is the most expensive state to raise a child. The least, Mississippi. Georgia sits at 48.
I mean, the daycare stuff alone compared to any of the other costs is just unbelievable and unavoidable most of the time. We're at a point where both of the parents have to be working full-time jobs just to be able to afford the bills. So any sort of stay-at-home mom or dad is kind of out of the question. Maybe you're lucky enough if you live with one of your parents. Your grandparents are retired or live super nearby. Maybe they could take care of the kid, but that's not what happens most of the time. So the daycares are raking in the money. I mean, look at how expensive it is in this example.
When somebody tells you they can't afford to have children, this is what they're talking about. A woman in my town's Facebook group shared these daycare rates today, and she said, how do you afford kids here? Because nobody knows how anybody is paying for this. For an infant for 5 days a week with 10 hours of care, it is $664 a week. That is just shy of $35,000 a year for one child. And the price does not drop that much when they hit pre-K here. It's $521 a week, which is about like $28,000 a year, okay? These are incredibly high rates for daycare. And of course, you could drop down to 9 hours a day or whatever it might be. But here's the thing. When you go to daycare, typically you're going to take the most hours because you have to commute to work, you have to commute back from work, and you have to work 8 hours a day. And unfortunately, when you miss pickup by 1 minute, they start charging you like $2 a minute. So usually it's more cost effective just to pay the higher rate for the 10 hours than to pay for the 9 hours, which is like crazy because it's 1 hour difference.
So at least for this example, it blows the $30,000 a year from the previous news clip right out of the water because that's how much it costs just for the daycare. And she said the exact same thing. Even though 10 hours seems like a crazy amount, everybody has to commute to work, losing an extra hour or two a day, along with the 8 hours that you have to be there. So a significant portion of your income, your yearly income, is going to just a single child being taken care of while you have to work your 9 to 5. But again, what other option is there other than to not have children? We have another comment from one of you guys that I almost can't believe as well. My father's wages were $75 a week and his home payment was $75 a month in the 60s. That gave him 3 checks to live on for the rest of the month. That was the American dream. So I even put that wage in a calculator. $75 in 1960 is $814 in 2025. If we convert everything over, a mortgage payment that is $814 is virtually impossible now. Very difficult to find rent that cheap as well, unless you're splitting it with other people. And the yearly salary today would have been a little bit over $42,000. But I have a little clip up next if anybody was wondering why I ended up moving out of New Jersey.
44% of 18 to 34-year-olds still live at home in this state in 2025. Let me say that again. 44% of 18 to 34-year-olds live with their parents and cannot afford to move out. That is the highest rate in the nation, and it is unacceptable.
And honestly, I don't disagree with those figures. I know many people still in New Jersey that are around my age still live with their parents, not because they're a freeloader or not doing anything. All of them have full-time jobs, but they still can't afford a house, let alone the still sky-high prices. Because if you look at the Northeast, the home prices are still climbing somehow. Along with the high interest rates as well, it's only getting worse.
Look at this crazy fact I saw today. The median home buyer in 2007 was born in 1968. Guess when the median home buyer in 2024 was born? 1968. This means the same people that were buying homes 17 or 18 years ago are now the same people buying them today. In 2007, your median home buyer was about 39 years old, and today they are about 55 years old. This is just another example of how unaffordable it is to buy a home for younger people.
And this is just a way to slowly move society into a place where you'll own nothing and be happy. The only option is to rent. There's no shot you're going to be able to own a home. And in some places like Canada and Australia, it's already gone too far. Their real estate markets make the US look tame.
It is cheaper to buy than rent in only 4 major US cities. In Detroit, it is almost 80% cheaper. Then comes Philadelphia, Cleveland, Ohio, and Houston, Texas. In every other major US city, it is cheaper to rent. Good luck. Take care.
So I've already told you my stance on renting versus owning. I'd like to be a homeowner in the future, but when almost everywhere in the country it's actually cheaper to rent right now because of the ridiculous real estate market, I guess the only thing you could really do is wait it out. And we have a couple screenshots right here of some of the areas that are finally going down in rental price. Where rent prices decreased the most, Austin, Texas by a whole 10%. That entire city blew up within just a couple years during COVID. Minneapolis, Portland, Raleigh, San Diego. So there are some places that are going down, but I could see right here, New York going down by 3%. When you see the rent prices being $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month easily, a 3% decrease is still a decrease at the end of the day, but still wildly overpriced for what you're getting. On the other hand though, this is where you could see some of the rent prices increasing. Cincinnati is the worst, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Birmingham, Alabama, Washington, D.C. But you know, we have to look at one of the extreme examples, especially when you're taking a look at California.
Y'all, we went to another open house. Ooh. Oh, look at this stained glass. Oh. Look at this bathroom. Whoa.
Ooh.
What the heck? I almost feel like it's kind of like a remodeling kind of situation. Like, ooh, I like this one. Whoa. No, I don't think so.
So this one's a remodeling situation starting off at $1 million. Some of the comments, $100,000 house marked for $1 million is crazy work. Another one here, crazy thing is that if this house dropped to even $800,000, there would be a line of people ready to scoop it up. Me included. I don't know. I guess I have to take a trip to California to feel the nice weather day after day, but it doesn't really seem worth it for $1 million shack that needs remodeling as well. The window grills and sliding door tells me that the house has been targeted by robbers before. Nice. It's the window AC units and the bars in the door and the windows for me. So I've been talking about topics like this since I started making videos on this channel, and it's only really gotten worse. And I think the second comment that I read really does give us a reason why. Is somebody still willing to pay for it even though it's wildly overpriced? It's just going to get worse. Prices are still going to go up even with a majority of people being priced out months, if not years ago. And we just see prices get even more and more ridiculous. Another one I always like to put in these videos, a 1-bed, 1-bath at Hudson Yards in New York for $5,500 a month. This was of course posted by a real estate agent trying to really talk this up with the view and how nice it was, blah blah blah. And I don't know, a good portion of the view is just a bunch of highways. It's not really the city skyline, but you're still going to have to pay $66,000 a year just for the privilege. Again, 1 bed, 1 bath, that's it. Now we could switch over to one of the examples that I found with insane insurance rate increases.
15 years with Geico with no claims and a 49% rate increase? Oh my gosh, listen, I want to know a couple different things. One, what state are you from? Are you in like Texas or Florida that has just gotten hammered and destroyed by these rate increases? Because 49%, listen, if I ever received a 49% rate increase on my insurance, man, you best believe I am shopping around. This is ridiculous.
Before I say anything, we go look at the comments real quick. Geico, no claims. Upon renewal, my rate went from $69 a month to $387 a month with no notice. They said it was due to inflation. Any company's reasoning for price gouging is just due to inflation. Of course, I went elsewhere. All insurance is a scam, it never ends. Geico doubled my rates due to inflation. I switched and my previous rate was price matched. This goes for any insurance across the board right now. Like he was asking the guy who commented if he lived in Texas or Florida, home insurance has become so unaffordable in some places like Florida because of the hurricanes and the storms that people have to sell and move elsewhere because they can't pay for it. Or their carrier will just drop them completely and they can't find any other insurance. So if there is a storm in the future, they're just screwed. But then in turn, there are no buyers because they don't want to pay an insane premium or just go without insurance and see what happens. So you're basically in a lose-lose situation while each one of these monthly payments is just going up. And I think that's a good transition, all the monthly payments, the subscriptions, into the next clip and how bad all of this has gotten.
Yep, their plan is working. You will owe nothing and be happy about it. Disney revealed some latest numbers on some of their subscriber counts, and it's shocking. They report that 157 million people every single month are using an ad-supported tier. Now, what that basically means is, you know, when you're watching a streaming service and you have the option to select a tier that's a little bit cheaper than that top level one, but you're still going to have ads to make it cheaper, and so that's how they kind of filled that cost. And don't forget that this was unheard of a number of years ago. Even on Netflix, they didn't even offer an option like this until recently. So this is how these things work. Eventually, we will probably have a system in which we go back to only ad-supported tiers, even when you are paying those premiums. They want you to get comfortable with this. They want to be able to serve all of those ads right into your face at any given moment. And we see this across all things in life nowadays. Whether you bought an Xbox and you're playing it, you're going to have an ad on your home screen. Whether you're watching a streaming service, you're often going to have an ad. All of these things are on top of the fact that usually you need to subscribe in the first place. So you can't just own the right to, use Netflix, which I guess makes sense, right? But you're still paying that monthly service. And now you're also getting ads on top of it. It kind of never ends, and this is what they want you to get used to.
So if you think about it, we've been like this forever now. If you don't pay your car insurance, you're not allowed to drive it on the road. You could pay off your home in full. See what happens if you don't pay property tax. There's a lot of things that people own but don't actually own if you don't pay your monthly subscription service, your bill. And now this is leaking into every facet of your life. Not only that, but these companies are now squeezing you and making the experience that you're paying for even worse. Remember when Netflix and Hulu and all of them came out and this was the new TV? Oh, I don't have to sit through all those crappy commercials, paying way too much for channels that I never use. This is going to be the new way. It's so much cheaper. And now adding all these streaming services together are as expensive, if not more, than TV before, and you're going to still have to watch advertisements during them anyway. They just found another way to make all of us spend even more money. So keeping in with the monthly bills, the monthly subscriptions, we could see a pretty extreme example of how much money you could spend on just a whole bunch of things in your daily life.
Let's go rapid fire through my monthly recurring expenses. Mortgage payment, $4,431.49. HELOC payment, $628.12. Loan from my retirement to help pay for my house, $191.63. Student loans, $114.61. Soccer for 3 of my children, $900 a month. Utilities, starting with internet, $107. Auto insurance, $143.53. Electric bill, $199.10. Gas bill, $104.06. Garbage service, $120.20. Water bill, $190.63. Phone service for multiple people, around $100. Miscellaneous, starting with Amazon Kids, $5.99. Disney Plus, $21.99. Microsoft PC, $11.99. Netflix, $24.99. CVS Extra Care Card, $5. Greenlight cards, $5.99. And something I'm pretty sure is a scam, but I haven't had the time to look into it. Homeowners Insurance of Boston, $19.23. The grand total, not including food, gas costs, or any sort of clothing or miscellaneous purchases for daily living, is $6,425.55.
And that's without food, which I would probably guess for her family, that sounds like it's 5 people in total, it might be more. I would say at least $1,000 extra a month. Now, of course, like I said, this is a pretty extreme example because with the mortgage and then the HELOC they took out, you're talking $5,000 a month on that alone, okay? Absolutely ridiculous pricing there, along with the almost $1,000 a month for soccer. I mean, I know academies are expensive, but that is a ton of money. But then we could start looking at some of them that many people pay for: the student loan repayments, auto insurance, electricity, gas, and either utilities, phone bill being another $100, and then of course the Disney Plus, the Netflix, the Microsoft PC, which I don't know if that's just another streaming service that I've never heard of, or they're renting a personal computer, but including food that I'm guessing is around $1,000 a month. You're talking almost $90,000 a year just to be able to fund the lifestyle that she's in. But we have a comment from one of you guys talking about your bills. Connecticut resident here. Our electric bill in the winter is more than a month of our rent for a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, $1,000 a month rent. This was in response to a previous clip that we saw. That was another Connecticut resident that just showed her electricity bill. I think it was like $1,150 a month. It was something unbelievable. I never lived there. I know that it gets cold, but still, insane amount of money. Here we could go over to some of the food prices again. We have a post from an NYC grocery store. $36 for 12 rolls of toilet paper. A whole bunch of different spices that range anywhere from $8 to $15. $7 cans of soup. Okay. $19 for a 6-pack of Kind Bars. $12 for frozen French fries. Oh man. All of the shampoo, conditioner, and body wash is around $10 to almost $20 each. $7 for 1 liter of sparkling soda. This has to be a mistake. $32 for a 12-pack of White Claw. I don't know who drinks those in the first place. They are nasty. $12 seems like too much for Breyers. I don't know. I never buy them, but I did record them for an older video on this channel. I believe it was around $4 or $5 where I am. More than twice the price in NYC. $25 for frozen Tyson chicken, $19 for almond butter, $15 for cookie dough, $11 for Chobani coffee creamer, and $8.29 for a dozen basic eggs. Another place always interesting to look at is, of course, Australia for their food prices.
The cost of living is actually fucked. She's $8.50, and that's on special. $10 for a block of cheese. What is that? That's for 30 cans of Coke. Are you serious? How do you live these days?
This pairs nicely with a comment from one of you guys. In Australia, the grocery prices are being investigated for price gouging. They made record-breaking profits since the cost of living crisis and COVID and have increased their prices on people's suffering. This also goes with the next clip talking about digital price tags and dynamic pricing. Very easy way to price gouge the customers.
People are already destroying the prices change throughout the day. Plus 10%? Plus 10%?
I thought overall that this was illegal. You weren't allowed to constantly change the prices of items, especially if we're talking about things that were in demand. I believe Kroger and Walmart had lawsuits on their hand because they were doing this, and we just saw the comments similar things were happening in Australia. But here's video proof of the digital pricing, and they could change it on a whim. I honestly really don't know what to say, but I have been liking going to different areas and showing different food stores and the prices to you guys so you can compare to wherever you live in the country or the world. We've done North Carolina, South Carolina, and I ended up going to see my family back up in New Jersey, so I went to a brand new ShopRite in South Plainfield, New Jersey to get some of these prices for you guys. So we'll just start off with this right here. We got some blueberries and raspberries for $3 a box, and then the strawberries being $1.99. We got some peaches here for only 99 cents a pound. Grapes were anywhere from $3 to $4 a pound depending on what you got. And I wanted to show you this area that was all the organic fruit, which overall was basically twice the price of whatever it was if you got the fruit from the first couple clips that I just showed you. So overall, if you did want to get the healthier organic stuff, you're basically going to have to pay double. That also goes for the vegetables as well. I was just showing you the fruit in the first couple clips, but everything was around twice the price for both. Then we could go over to some of the bread, which overall was definitely cheaper than where I am in North Carolina. At least for some of the bread, most of it's around $4 each for me personally, but some of the stuff was on sale. You could see for only like $1.50 or $2 per loaf. So honestly, not really that bad of a deal in my opinion. But then we could go over to the soda that I thought was pretty expensive. For a 12 pack of a lot of soda, it was around $10.29, and it really didn't matter what kind of soda it was. If it was the lemonade, if it was in a can and it was a 12 pack, it was over $10 each. Even the minis I think were around $8.50, which is almost double the price of what I normally see if I'm walking around the supermarket. But we could go over to some of the chips, sitting at around $4.50, $5 each. The cereal aisle was a little bit more expensive than what I usually see. The giant size was a little bit over $7. Most of the time I see it around $6, and that goes for any of the other ones. There's a giant size, large size, family size. There's a million different sizes now, but it was all about $1 more than what I see. Went to the pasta aisle, a lot of it being around $2 a box, and then we went over to the rice aisle. I was seeing 20-pound bags of rice for $15. Then I saw the milk, which was definitely more expensive than what I normally see. $4.50 each for the non-name brand milk. This is like ShopRite's version of Great Value, which I normally see at around $2.50. Didn't matter if it's whole milk, 1 or 2%. But yeah, we were seeing anywhere from $4 to $5 each. Then we go over to the eggs, and for a 12 pack, they were anywhere from $4.50 to around $6 a pack. We could head over to some of the meat. Here's chicken, just the boneless, skinless chicken breast. They were selling it for $3.49 a pound. And the beef that I normally get, that's definitely more expensive because it is the very lean, like 96.4 that they have for this, was $6.49 a pound. You could definitely get cheaper cuts if you want. Definitely varying prices compared to when I shop around North Carolina. But I thought it would be interesting to add into the cost of living any sort of modern day activity. At least really a good portion of it is just out of the question with how expensive it's become. And I think you know I have to show you the example of what we see all the time, people spending ungodly amounts of money at Disney.
A Florida father is going viral after showing just how costly a day trip to Disney World has become.
Before we even got into the park, it cost me $30 just for parking. And even being a Florida resident, tickets for a family of 5 with one child under 10 was still $974. The rest of the family decided they want to go to dinner at downtown Disney Springs. This place was my literal hell, totaling $245.27. The grand total for our day was $1,391.91.
$1,000 just to walk in, along with the dinner being $250. That's just brutal. And I mean, I've made an entire couple dedicated videos on my second channel just talking about many different activities. I mean, bowling, going to concerts, movie theaters, video games. A lot of people's hobbies or just activities to do now are becoming so expensive that it's not even worth it anymore. So I thought it'd be interesting to end on this note talking about retirement, because with everything we've gone over today, people barely surviving while all the bills are just increasing nonstop. What is retirement going to look like at 65 or possibly higher if they increase the limit, or are people just going to work until they hit the ground? Because it doesn't look like too many people have a lot saved.
This pie chart is showing the harsh reality of retirement in America. This is showing you 100 working people between the ages of 25 and 65 in the financial status. Let's break it down. 54 people are dependent. They are not financially independent. 36 people still working. 5 people unfortunately didn't make it. 4 people, okay, they doing okay. And only 1 person classified as wealthy?
So overall, we're talking about just 5% of the population being in a good place. And with the way that everything's headed right now, that percentage is probably going to decrease as well. But that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. YouTube thinks you'll like this video popping up on screen right now, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys later.